Hello, and welcome to another video. Today, I'll be showing you everything that I opened in my Lorwyn Eclipsed pre-release kit. I will first show you the deck that I played. We'll look at everything else that I opened. And we'll see if maybe there was anything else I could have done differently in hindsight. And then at the end, we can open up my prize packs together. Let's get right into it. Okay. My deck is still sleeved up here, so let me take a moment to unsleeve it and lay it all out nicely so we can take a look at it. So here is what I played at the pre-release. With this, I went 1, 1, and 1. So definitely some room for improvement, but there was a lot that I enjoyed about this deck. And definitely some good experience and takeaways about the format. But yeah, as you can see, this was mostly a Kithkin deck. I was pleasantly surprised with how well it all kind of came together. Knowing that this is mostly a typal set, I had pretty low expectations for Sealed, as far as assembling synergies and payoffs is concerned. Because, of course, in draft you are picking and choosing the cards that you want, and it's much easier to filter down to the type of cards that you want to assemble. Whereas in Sealed, you're just opening 6 packs and you get what you get. So it can be pretty difficult to assemble critical mass of any one creature type. I mean, are there any major groundbreaking Kithkin payoffs here? No, not really, but is there decent synergy? Especially kind of tempering expectations for Sealed? I would say yes. So yeah, let's go through these a bit more granularly. So I guess looking at the land first, I ran 16 land overall with 2 non-basic land. Even though I did have some higher costed creatures, I felt fine with 16 land, as most of them had cost reduction, like Vivid and Convoke. Plus, I had 2 creatures who could help with my mana. This guy was pretty solid, a great blocker, and I really appreciated that he could make mana of any color. This could come in clutch with some of those evoke creatures that really care about the colors of mana that are spent on them. With 4 toughness, he's probably a great target for blighting, if that is part of your strategy. And this one, I was actually kind of on the fence about running, 'cause he's only a 1/1. But he can block something. He provides a little bit of ramp. He can tap to Convoke, so I did end up running him. I'm always happy to run an Evolving Wilds. Eclipsed Realm, mostly named Kithkin. There was one time where I had to name Treefolk in order to cast the Great Forest Druid. That was a little funny, but yeah, it enters untapped, which I appreciate. Not groundbreaking in a 2-color deck, but yeah, it was fine. Next, we can look at our Kithkin suite. I'm not including shapeshifters in here, although those would count as Kithkin. This guy was the main Kithkin payoff I had. A 2-mana 2/2 first strike lifelink I'm already well on board with. And then, whenever this creature attacks, you may put a creature card with mana value X or less from your hand onto the battlefield, tapped and attacking, where X is the number of attacking creatures you control. So, I guess not actually a Kithkin payoff, but it does really speak to that Kithkin strategy of a lot of small creatures going wide. And I feel like I had some cards that feed into this really well. I never really did take advantage of this ability, but there was kind of that threat of activation, especially since that creature enters tapped and attacking. Mostly it was my opponents dealing with this creature, so it became somewhat of a lightning rod. Often this would just come in and gain me 4 to 6 life and then be on its way. And with its first strike, or especially if I had a combat trick, it could take a few other creatures out, so really good investment for 2 mana either way. This guy, I feel like we've had this exact creature quite a few times now, but I'm happy to play it anytime. For me, this would mostly sit back, maybe convoke something. My opponents would kind of forget about this guy, so it would kind of lead to some blowout situations in combat. These Thought-Weft lieutenants were awesome. Another kind of Kithkin payoff. Whenever this or another Kithkin enters, target creature I control gets +1/+1 and gains trample until end of turn. So, of course, really good with the Kinscare Sentry having first strike. Part of the reason why I justified running 2 of the Gold Meadow Nomads. I probably wouldn't have bothered with these too much, but a 1-mana Kithkin that makes another 1-mana Kithkin seemed like an obvious way to trigger this ability. Similarly, the Reluctant Downguard enters with 2 -1/-1 counters on it, and whenever another creature I control enters, I remove a -1/-1 counter. So, just trying to get this done quickly. Or the Mist Meadow Council wants you to control another Kithkin. So, even if this is in the graveyard, just making that 1/1 and getting a discount on this seems fine. The Wary Farmer also wants creatures entering turn after turn so that you can keep surveilling. And then lastly, this Kithkin enchantment creates 2 1/1s, and then you can pay 5 to get a 1/1 anytime. So again, just trying to ensure that constant stream of creatures, continuous activation of the lieutenants, or going wide for maximum power points from Shield Bearer, or again dropping a giant creature with the Sentry. So yeah, those are the Kithkin. And then these were my non-Kithkin creatures. Aside from the tree folk and the Mutavault guy that we saw before, we've got a few merfolk. Encumbered Reejery starts out as a 2/1. You can remove -1/-1 counters on it by tapping it, if possible from being able to attack early, and if not, then it's a really good candidate for Convoke. A couple of flying merfolk, a 3/3 that surveils, and a flying vigilant 2/2 that makes a token. This guy was alright, but not really optimized for this deck, I don't think. I could make some 1/1 tokens for convoking, but I don't know. 5 mana for 3 power wasn't really great. These 2 changelings were great for adding extra colors for Vivid. I was able to cast this for 4 mana most of the time. And then a big vigilant tree folk to round out the top end. And then our non-creature spells were all combat tricks or removal. I really enjoyed all of these. I just wish I had more. So that is everything that I played. Next, let's take a look at everything I didn't play, starting with the remaining rares. So, just judging by the rares, this pool wanted to be blue or blue-black, but I don't know. I just wasn't super into it. Grub's Command kind of interested me. I maybe could have been sold on these 1-mana creatures. The Bloodline bidding was incredibly expensive, though it does have Convoke. But in the beginning, when I was just looking at the rares, I wasn't sure what kind of creature types I was going to have, so I didn't know if I was going to have enough of any one creature type for this to be worth it. Rhymefire Torque can copy spells but has a setup cost, and I don't think I was really into that. Dream Harvest casts your opponent's things, which maybe I'd be into, but it also costs 7. Really seems like more of a commander card than limited, so wasn't very interested in that. And then Harmonized Crescendo, similar to the Bloodline bidding. Very expensive with Convoke, but cares about creature types. So earmarked that as something that I would need more information about before I could commit to. Next, Looking at the multicolored cards that I didn't play, I had 2 more of these chitinous grassblings, but figured I could side these in if I had an opponent with a lot of flying. Eclipsed Boggart would really need to be in Rakdos in order to play this. Reaping Willow. I was actually interested in this one, but was kind of deterred by the mana cost. Without any other black, I would need triple white to cast this, and I just wasn't confident in my ability to pull that off. It would have given me access to black for that Vivid Giant I was running. In hindsight, I think I probably could have run it. I really like its ability to return a creature to the battlefield. I think that would have been really good in my deck. So that's kind of a bummer. And then Twin Flame Travelers is kind of a elemental synergy card. And I didn't really see that happening for this pool, so. For the white and green that I didn't play, this I thought was going to be too expensive for too little power, but in playing I found that I was able to have at least 3 Vivid pretty reliably, so I think this would have been worth running. Maybe instead of the 5 mana Merfolk I had. And these other things I don't feel too strongly about. I mean, this one's obviously for an elf deck that we weren't in, so that is green and white. Here is everything else that I had in black. Definitely some goblin stuff, but not nearly enough. I like these 2 as pieces of removal. I could see maybe trying to get these into the deck if we stretched into 3 colors instead of just 2. But that would require a bit of an overhaul to what we were doing. That might also soften the blow of trying to get the Reaping Willow in there. If we got black in there in addition to white. Looking at the red, this was a fairly deep color, though lacking a bit in the top end. We are seeing more goblins and elementals here, but I don't know. I liked the removal, like the seer, but for me, this wasn't more compelling than the green and the white that I was looking at. Looking at the blue, we had a couple of elementals and fairies, a few of the same merfolk. I was interested in some of our tempo spells, but again, just not more than the green-white that I was already looking at. And then finally, we've got the artifacts. The only one here that I was really considering was the Dawnblessed pennant. I probably could have gained quite a bit of life off of it, and I think cashing it in for its activated ability is pretty good. I just couldn't really find room for it. And that is everything that I opened in my pre-release kit. The very last thing we have to do is open the prize packs. And for my record of 1 win, 1 loss, and 1 draw, I've got 3 packs. Let's see what we get. I'll just go through the commons and uncommons pretty quickly here. Oh, nice. We've got a Blood Crypt as our rare. Love that. And a foil Dose of Dawnglow. Alright, on to our next pack. Oh, cool. Formidable Speaker is Jean-Emmanuel Depras World Championship card. Awesome. And a foil Mirror Mind crown. Nice. Last pack. Ashling Rekindled is our rare. I played against this in round 3 of the pre-release, and seemed really fun. And a full art land. Very nice. Well, thank you so much for joining me today for a look through my pre-release kit and opening some prize packs. I would love to hear about how your pre-release went if you played in one, or any cards that you're particularly excited to play within Commander or any constructed format. Let's hear it down in the comments. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, please make sure you hit that like button, and please consider subscribing if you haven't already. I put out new Magic the Gathering ASMR videos every Monday and Friday. I truly appreciate all of your support, and I hope you have a wonderful day.